Morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulous. This is Angela with another edition of Notes on the News Feed, where I read to you headlines, because sometimes we just got to go with the headlines. We got a lot going on. We got to try to stay up to snuff, up to date, up to the moment as much as we can with what's going on in the world, but we don't always have time to do in-depth research. Sometimes we don't even have time to read the whole article or even the paragraph following the article. But I'm going to share with you the headlines that I pulled off of my news feed for today. And I might share with you some thoughts or perspectives or ideas that I have about those headlines. Thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Channel Be Fabulous You is working on 1,000. We're working on 1,000 charter subscribers. So if you are one of my charter subscribers, I sure appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if not, go ahead and subscribe. Consider subscribing. Invite somebody else to subscribe. It don't cost you nothing to come on and get the content. So I take payment and likes, comments, shares, subscriptions. I'm Angela, and the channel again is Be Fabulous You. Let us proceed with the notes on the news feed. Bronx principal. We've been talking about these New York school people, haven't we? It's been just lots of conversation. Faces protests after reportedly barring Black history lessons. Oh, Black history lessons? What do you think this is? Black History Month? He probably, or she, they probably stressed because they got to teach to the test and all this other foolishness. Is that foolishness? It sounds like foolishness to me that goes on in these schools. Or maybe he just don't like Black people. Maybe he don't like Black history. But the people who organized the protest, they said that when the thing happened we were talking last week or the week before about the teacher who was having a lesson on Black history or slavery and had the children come to the front of the room, and then she stepped on them to show them what slavery was. The people said, well, that is an isolated incident. And so these people organized this protest when they heard about this because they said, we're here to support these parents, because when that happened over there, they said it was an isolated incident. But we got 2 data points now. We know it's not an isolated incident. And I bet you if you did a little bit more research, you'd have more than 2 data points. But anyway, it's people are trying to make these connections. We got to get these connections firing, right? Our children in these schools, we were talking about that, was it yesterday? But we really got to do better. We have to do better. Facebook video goes viral of Black women being racially profiled at Applebee's restaurant. Senator Cleveland rebukes critics of unions in powerful floor speech. The people are like, they just want you to join the union so they can get your money. But quiet as is kept. And I hear a lot of younger people, I guess because of the way I grew up and the consciousness that I had. But I am shocked when I hear younger people who are so hostile to unions and the union movement. It's like we didn't have, before the union movements, children, there were no child labor laws. There weren't weekends. There weren't 40-hour work weeks. There wasn't overtime. And I mean, really, a lot of that stuff has already been eroded. But I mean, we're ignorant of a lot of things. And I guess there's a lot of money behind advancing certain agendas and perpetuating certain propaganda that, I'm not saying that the unions are perfect. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm going to tell you who's not perfect, who's not on your side, the 1%. The boss probably is not on your side. I could be wrong. I don't know your boss personally, but we going to hazard a guess here. 50 years later, a new poor people's campaign, because in the 50 years, the things haven't gotten better. And have they gotten worse? I think for some people, they've gotten worse. For many people, they've gotten worse. And it's not funny. I'm not really laughing at it getting worse for people. I'm laughing at this idea that Things like the civil rights movement or, unions are like some bull. Like, we don't need that. Okay. Black woman designs strange fruit quilt to memorialize 5,000 lynching victims. Now, this is coming off the Griot, which is a national publication. But y'all, if you're in the Detroit area, this exhibit is happening at Detroit Unity Church. It happens every year. It's a quilt show. This quilt has the names of 5,000 people who were lynched. If they were lynched, mother and son, mother and children, father and children, husband and wife, friends, she put them close together. She did research. I think it's like 100 years worth of research. Research on 100. Hey, welcome into the chat. She did research on like 100 years worth of lynchings, and they're in, the quilt reflects that research that she did. And some people are unnamed, so it might just say 27 people lynched here. Hello, Mina Sykes. Welcome into the chat. We're reading the headlines. So if you are in Detroit, go over to Detroit Unity for that quilt show. If not, check out the article on the Griot. It's entitled Black Woman Designs Strange Fruit Quilt to Memorialize 5,000 Lynching Victims. And they say when you come into the show that it kind of catches people's attention because of the combination of colors. I think it's black, white, and gold, and it draws people in. And then when they get close to it, they realize, oh, what's going on with it? And isn't that great art? It kind of draws you in on a lot of different layers. We've read that one. A woman tried the world's fanciest McDonald's in Hong Kong, and it was superior to American McDonald's in every way. The African barber styling Premier League stars. Now, Premier League, I guess this coming off BBC. I was going to say, I think this is some British something. They featured this barber. I think he's Nigerian. I don't know. The bus that could change your life. This is coming off of BBC. I don't know what it was. It seems like I did skim the article and now I can't remember. So moving on. Next case. Hey, this is not on my news feed, but did you hear that Kaya is not going to be on the Queen's Court tonight? Is it over? What he said, 14 thoughts and analysis by Malcolm X that are mind-blowingly relevant today. You know what's really interesting? A lot of times if you read the words of people who have been scholars and activists from like 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 20 years ago, a lot of that stuff could be like relevant. Like you could just get a speech right now and things haven't changed. Or a lot of, quotes and ideas and concepts, a lot of the analysis that people have done for us, it's still relevant. It still holds, because certain things have just not changed. As much as we feel like the world has changed, there's a lot of stagnation in certain areas in particular. Minnie Ripley, civil rights activist, among one of the first to vote in Mayersville, Mississippi. Now, when I skimmed this article, there were some places that I recognized. I can't remember now. But, because I lived in Mississippi for a couple of years, some of these places I was like, oh, I've never heard of Mayersville, but some of the other places I had heard of. Winter Olympics. NBC ditches analyst Joshua Cooper Ramo over Korea remark. Thanks for the light. So he said something like South Koreans really look to Japan for leadership. I don't remember exactly what he said, but some people were very offended. And you might not know, but this story of the comfort women, I have talked about that repeatedly because these Korean women were made to be sex slaves and they were called comfort women, which I just feel like is such an offensive term, like an understatement of what it is to call someone a comfort woman when they're being forced to have sex with you. But the people were like, we're not looking to Japan. Japan came over here and caused all kinds of problems and issues. And I'm offended that you said that. And you don't need to be on CBS reporting about the Olympics. For example, comfort women. And there were other things that, people felt were like offensive and, that where they were like, no, we're not looking. Now, I'm sure just like in any society, there might be some people who are like, oh, Japan. But this person Joshua Cooper Ramo, who I've never heard of, he's not an analyst, and anymore for the Olympics. And when I looked at the article, I can't remember now, but he had some credentials. Like, he wasn't just like me out here commentating with no, just pulling stuff out the air. Well, it looked to me, he had some, I would have hired him, I don't know if I would have, but I mean, he wasn't just, he didn't just look like somebody off the street. He looked like he might have some context and some information about Asia and Korea and stuff like that. Flames engulf highway in China after gas tanker overturns. I hope everyone was okay. Africa ends internet domains continental roadshow across the continent. .Africa, like .eu, like .com, like, .xxx. There's a .Africa. Peter Rabbit film producers apologize after allergy scene. So there's a scene in Peter Rabbit where the animals, some of the rabbits, I guess, get together and they're using a slingshot and they're slinging fruits, blackberries, at this guy, a human who is allergic to blackberries, and they keep flinging them at him until he has to get out his EpiPen because he's having an allergic reaction. And the people, the parents, the protesters are like, you're making a joke out of allergies, and allergies are no joking matter. Okay. Venezuela kidnap baseball star Elias Diaz's mother freed. And I guess it's common in Venezuela for athletes and families of athletes to get kidnapped for money. I didn't know. Indian woman killed by celebratory gunshots at wedding party. We've heard about this before. We've talked about it before. She at the party. People are like, woo, they got married. We so happy. Boom, 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 boom. And this woman got killed. So rest in peace to her, and just peace and love to her family and her community and to all of us. And guns they're not toys. They could hurt people. So celebrate in some other ways. The U.S. snowboarding team's jackets are lined with English to South Korean translations and how to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. So if you get lost, your jacket can help you. Be like, help! And they'll tell you how to say help, or I don't know how it works, but they're not just cute, but they're practical. That's what they're trying to say about these jackets for the U.S. snowboarding team. Queen bans plastic straws and bottles on royal estates after David Attenborough documentary. Plastic is ubiquitous, and plastic it's not good. Reduce your plastic use. That's my recommendation. Do some research on plastic. So congratulations to the Queen. Thousands of flights to a London airport have been canceled because of a World War II bomb found near the runway. A World War II bomb just found near the runway. And we were talking about that the other day because we found a bomb. Somebody found a bomb somewhere, and they had to it alter things around it. And it's like, now that war is over, but the repercussion and the vibrations of that war continue on. South Africa, ANC leaders expect to ask President Zuma to resign. Now, the word that I'm getting on the street from my people who are in South Africa right now is that Zuma is fighting for the people. Zuma is fighting for black people to keep the land and get land without having to pay the white people for the land that was our land before the white people came and took it from us at gunpoint and stuff like that. And so that's where all this, because remember I was like, what's up with this? What's this Zuma thing? We were just talking about in Zimbabwe how they went after my man Mugabe, or I don't know if he was my man, but I'm like, why are they going after Mugabe? And now after they got rid of him, they like, yes, yay, we're going to help all the white farmers. So it sounds like something similar might be going on in South Africa with Mr. Zuma. Hello, Mina Sykes. Oh, this is probably okay. White supremacists running for office in 2018. I guess they have a list. I'm going to save that some of those comments for another day. But is that news? I mean, we're in the United States. It might be news when you say someone is not a white supremacist. And then I also want to talk very quickly about this term white supremacist. Because, we know when we look up, when you look in the dictionary, white is pure and it's everything good. It's wonderful. It's cleansing. It's beautiful. And black is just awful and evil and terrible. Just the connotation of those words, white and black. So white has like an elevated connotation. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. Ah. And then supreme. If you say something is supreme just in normal conversation, he's the greatest of all time. He's supreme. That chocolate cake was supreme. It has a positive connotation as well. So I think I never got my mother's poem, but we were talking about this probably about 4 or 5 months ago, how that term white supremacist, and I was reading something, somebody was talking about it, and I was like, oh, they were like, that term we need to stop using that term because, and I guess the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, yeah, when we're caught in this English language, that both terms have a positive connotation. They have a positive vibration. So when I think I'm like just calling somebody the worst of the worst, the lowest of the low, you white supremacist, you. It's almost like an anti-statement because white has a positive connotation. Supremacist has a positive connotation. So it's almost like I'm trying to curse you, but I'm blessing you. I'm trying to curse you, but I'm elevating you. So I haven't found an alternative to that term, but I'm no longer a fan of that term. Okay, I got 6 more stories. I couldn't mourn my grandmother because I had my period. This is a woman. Thank you for the like. This is a woman who was Indian, and I think she was Indian, but she was talking about, her grandmother made her transition. There were several activities that were involved with acknowledging her grandmother's transition and celebrating her life. But at one point she had come, it was like a year later, and there were some places she had come with her family. She came out of the bathroom and she asked her aunties, hey, does anybody have a sanitary napkin or a tampon? And everybody got silent. And she was like, and somebody was like, here's one. And then when she came out, they were like, you can't go into the temple. And she like, what you mean? They like, because you on your period. And she like, and they're like, yeah. And so she didn't end up going, and she was kind of upset. And then she was talking to her cousin, one of her other cousins, about it. And her cousin is like, you just shouldn't have said anything about it because, and she's like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, we go into all the time. You just don't say anything. But that's what this article is about, like a difference in generational comprehension, but also this idea of a woman's cycle. And when she's on her cycle, when she's on her period, is she like spewing, dirt, or is she spewing purity? And there are like different interpretations of it, depending on what text you look at. There's not really like a clear story as to why, like if women are excluded because we don't want to dirty you up. You're so pure when you're on your period, or are women excluded because you're so dirty? We don't want you to mess up our pure thing that we have going. But anyway, that was coming off of the BBC. Inside the world of extreme terror pranking. So, when people in some parts of the world, it's common for people to like, or not common, but it's not unheard of for people to throw acid on people. So people thought it was funny, or, they thought they could get YouTube views or whatever by pretending to throw acid on people, and then people reacting, or pretending to kill someone in front of people and then people reacting, or pretending to die in front of people and people reacting. Like, I like some prank shows, but I don't really like the pranks where, I don't think it's fun. Like, I wouldn't think it was funny for somebody to pretend to die in front of me, and I think they did, and then they're like, surprise, I'm alive. I'd be like, that junk ain't funny. But they're just talking about extreme pranking and like, people pretending to be terrorists and all of these things to get views, and, how it traumatizes people. Dhaka, a city with no room for the dead. Dang, where was this at? I think this was in Pakistan. And they have, for a little while now, they've had what's called temporary graves. So you can get a burial plot, but it only lasts for like 2 years, and then after that somebody else could be buried on your grave, and in the person's grave. And then one person was saying that they had a hookup where the person who was like the caregiver, they could give them money to keep somebody else from getting buried in the grave, but that Islam, that they just don't have space for. They they have to reuse the land because they don't have space. And that sometimes when they're putting new people in the ground, they're finding the remains of other people who haven't fully decomposed yet. And they really want to encourage people to take their family to their ancestral. Hey, welcome into the chat. Thank you for the likes. They want to encourage people to take we're talking about Dhaka in Pakistan, Dhaka, a city with no room for the dead. They want to encourage people and even pay for transportation, the article said, for people to go, go to your home village and bury your people. Don't try to bury them in the city because we don't really have room for them here. I mean, that's like, I don't know. I mean, like I don't know if I always, but like when I go down south in Alabama, there is land next to my family church. There is like a family burial ground, and I can like go to the grave of like the oldest ancestor I know, where he made the headstone and he wrote out, he carved it out in his own handwriting. Like, here lays, so-and-so, father of me. And then here lay so-and-so, mother of me. That relative who did those gravestones was a Leo. So everything's centered around him. But I mean, I can't imagine, like, so when I go there, I feel like I'm like on sacred ancestral land for my family. Like, it's like, and I don't know how to imagine or conceive, like going to visit someone's grave and like somebody else is there too. Like, I don't know, maybe you start to develop relationships with the spirits and I don't know. It's like, it's a difficult concept. So, and some of the people in this article at least seem really kind of traumatized and sad. Like, when they went back and, another person was buried on top of or in the same plot as their people, they felt a certain way about it. Even though initially I thought the article was going to say, well, culturally it's not a big deal because, in Islam you can have multiple people buried in the grave. But anyway, Mo Ibrahim Prize. Liberia's Sirleaf wins African Leadership Prize. She became the first African woman to lead a country. And it was in like the 2000s, so it hasn't been that old. And this prize that she's given, I think you get a certain amount of money. And then after that, you get like $200,000 a year. But they only started giving it out in like 2006. But some years, they don't give out a prize if they don't feel that someone is deserving. And that really kind of impressed me and made me want to research them more. So the Mo Ibrahim Prize has gone to Liberia's Sirleaf. And I think they say you don't have to be perfect to get it, because Sirleaf, I think she got kicked out of her party or something because she supported some, I don't know. I haven't really followed it. But anyway, we're learning something. We got to learn more about the Mo Ibrahim Prize. And who was Mo Ibrahim? I don't know. We don't know. It's the first time hearing about this prize at all, this whole concept. Norwegian skier fell and broke a pole at the start of the skiathlon. Never even heard of a skiathlon. And then easily passed 67 others to win gold with nobody else in sight. He's like, it wasn't even a competition. This is his first Olympics. He's a skiathlete, S-K-I-athlon. Scientific racism. This is where we left off yesterday. So we've looped back around. That's it for this edition of Notes on the Newsfeed. I'm Angela again. The channel is Be Fabulous You. Thank you for being one of my first 1,000 subscribers, for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing if you're brand new. We're working on 1,000 new subscribers. It's so exciting. And today is the best day ever. So be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Peace, y'all. Y'all got anything to say before we leave? Before we get out of here? I'm going to sing the song and then I'm going to hit the button. And then it's going to be a minute before it goes off. So if you're typing away now and got something to say, an important story we need to discuss, then we can discuss it real quick. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Be you. Be fabulous. Interesting. They should do it for the government and public sector. Do what, Mr. Spencer? Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. You typing. Norwegian skier. Oh, money award. Oh, like the Genius Award, the MacArthur Grant, they do a money award. But we have to look into this Mo Ibrahim and all of this stuff. All right. Thank you for commenting. Appreciate y'all. Today is the best day ever. Peace.